All right, we are going to get started. This is our first video in a series on AI, and we're going to focus on Gemini and Google, all the things that Google has to offer with AI. These are 30-minute sessions, so they're short and sweet. And today is our first one, so we are just going to be touring, so to speak. We're going to take a tour of Google Gemini. So I'm going to show you all the things it offers and give you some examples of different chats or conversations with Gemini. So I'm going to be going between this presentation and then the actual Google Gemini app. So as an overview, Google Gemini, we have access to the 2.5 Pro series. And this series, because we are on our Google for Education account, this series has stricter content policies that prevent potential inappropriate or harmful responses for our users under the age of 18. And it's also grounded in learning science. So this model was built with educational experts, making it the world's leading model for learning. And this is a core service with our Google Workspace account. So this data isn't reviewed or used to train AI models. So it is a safe model for us to be working in. So let's just look at the Gemini app that we have. So the first thing you're probably asking is, how do I get to Gemini? So if you have when you're logged into your computer and you go over here to the Google apps, or I like to call this the waffle, and you click on that, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the diamond and you've got Gemini right there. And you can also type gemini.google.com to get to it also. When you're using it for the first time, you will sign in with your school Google account. And then this is what you will see. So let's just take a look at it here. So if you hover over on the side panel, this hamburger menu, this will pin that open side panel for you. Otherwise, it will just be floating. So when you go over there, it'll just pop up. But if you click on the hamburger menu, it will keep that menu exposed. You can, right here, we'll just start at the top. You can search your chat. So if you have previous things that you're looking for, you can search. That is a relatively new feature in Gemini, which was kind of funny because Google is known for its searching, and then it didn't have a search. And then, so now there is a search, thank goodness. And then if you want to start a new chat, you just click that. I already have the new chat open. If you have another chat open, this will turn black and then you could click new chat. Underneath the new chat button are gems, and we're going to have a whole nother session talking about gems. But gems, I'll click here to explore gems. What those are is they're individual little AI models built around a specific topic. So they have some pre-made gems. So we have this one that's a career guide. So what this is trained to do is to walk you through if you're thinking about different careers. So it will be asking questions about what your interests are and things like that. So that is one. Chess champ, I haven't gone in there and played around with that. And then there's different ones. And then there's also the show more button. So there are even more different pre-made gems. And then if you notice down here, you can create your own gem, and you could also now, this is a new feature, you can share your gem. So in my last newsletter, my Tech Tip Today newsletter, I shared this gem when I grow up. And what this allows you to do is upload a picture of yourself and then say what career you want to have. And it will transform you into that career. So that is a fun gem that I created. So those are gems. Underneath gems, you have your recent and pinned chats. Ooh, let me pin that. So you have your recent, but you can also pin a chat. So if you have one that you want to work with, you can pin that. And the way that you do that is you just click on the three dot menu, or I like to call that the skinny snowman, and then it gives you the option to pin or rename. It will automatically name your chat that you have back and forth with Gemini. But if you don't like what Gemini calls it, you can definitely rename it. So, like these right here, deep research examples, I rename those and then I pin them so that I can find them quickly for this presentation. So the main area that you will be working in is down here, and this is where you type in your prompt. So it says enter a prompt for Gemini right there. Our next session, our next 30-minute AI session will be about prompting, because it is important that you give a lot of details in your prompt, and we will go over that next week. So you enter your prompt here, or, which I love, is you can just use the microphone. So you can click on this and then it will record your voice. So I could click this. Tell me a joke, Gemini. And then I click off of it when I'm done. And then it turns into this like little paper airplane. And then I could submit it. I've never asked it to tell me a joke. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. All right, so that's kind of fun. You can add files. So if you click this plus button, you can upload a file from your computer, so from your H drive or your desktop, or you can add from your Google Drive because we're connected to our Google. So I could upload a lesson that I've used in the past and just say, ask Gemini for, give me some good hooks for my class to get them excited about this new topic. Or I could ask Gemini, what are some skills that they need to know before they tackle this lesson? Or I don't know, what's a joke about this lesson? You could ask it anything. And so that would give it something to work with. So I'm going to close that. Students cannot upload files at this point to Gemini. So just so you know, students cannot upload files. Over here, you have tools. So the guided learning, deep research, create images, and then Canvas. So the first thing I want to talk about, we'll start at the bottom and go our way and work our way up, is the Canvas mode. So what Canvas does is it splits the screen in two, and it allows you to have an interactive workspace on one side where you can actually edit what you're working on. And then the other panel is the conversation back and forth with Google Gemini. So the way that this works is you enter your prompt here, and then you choose from those tools, you would choose Canvas. And then Gemini opens this split screen here, and then you can edit this part. So I'm going to go back over to my Google Gemini so I can show you what that looks like. So I have a Canvas example. There we go. Canvas mode example. So in this example, my prompt was write a letter to a parent who has been an awesome volunteer all year. So this is, I'm just working on a nice letter. She's wonderful. So I give some information. And then my thing is I want to suggest a treat that I could put in the letter as a fun pun. So it opens up this side panel, and in here I can edit. I can edit this. So I could say, Dear Kelly, and it sticks. So it stays. And I can bold, bold it. I could delete that because that I don't need. And this, the letter, I don't need that in there. And then it goes through. I could type my name and get rid of that. So you can work through this. And then here are the treats, suggestions. Um, you're officially the best with some goldfish crackers. You're the bomb with lip balm and things like that. So it's just a fun way to do this. So I could delete this. Um, and then up here, this little share, the little three little triangle thing right here. I don't know how to explain that. I don't have a, it doesn't really look like a skinny snowman, or it's like a snowman that fell apart. If I click on this, I have options. I could export it to Google Docs, or if I wanted to copy the contents and then throw it into an email, I could do that. You'll always see this create button. Now, for this example, these create options really don't make any sense, but I'm going to show you what they are. You could create a web page, an infographic, a quiz, flashcards, or an audio overview. So with this example, I don't need that because it's an email or a letter to a parent. But those are options that pop up with a lot of what we do in Gemini. So that is the Canvas mode. In this presentation that I'll also send out with the video. So this is actually, I should have said this at the beginning. So I went to a conference this summer, and this was a presentation that Google shared during the conference. So it's really nice to have an actual Google presentation. Plus, it looks really nice. So here's an example that they gave to revise an old lesson. So and then it brings it up in Canvas mode. And then Gemini, Canvas, they give some use cases, and then an example prompt and who it best fits, and then some tips for doing that. So this is a nice document to use if you're new to Google, or even if you've been using it, they're just great ideas. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the deep research option. So it's just like what it sounds. You put in a topic, and then Google searches a bunch of websites, and it will take all of that information and put it into a research paper. And then you can have a conversation back and forth with Gemini to learn more about that topic. So for this example, in this, let's see. So right here, oh, wait, let's hop back. So I have an example of this here. So I'll go back over here, deep research example. So my prompt was, let me scroll up here. Whoop, I gotta scroll way up. Is research how graphic organizers support comprehension for our ESL students? And then I said, include evidence-based examples across content areas and grade levels. And then Gemini responded, here's my plan. And then you could say, start research. Or you could say, I want for a specific language, or you could, give more information. I just said, go ahead, start research. And then it did this whole research paper. So I can open this, and now it's all the contents are here. So if you wanted to jump to a certain section, you can. I could jump to that section, but this is multiple pages. And then once again, over here, you can share. So I could export this whole paper to Docs. I could copy the content and put it somewhere else. But I can also, I think, can I edit? Oh, nope, this one I cannot. This one I cannot edit what they wrote. But I could have a conversation back and forth to add more or add another topic in there. I can also create an audio overview. And this is really amazing. The audio overview is just mind-blowing. So it sounds like a podcast. So I'm going to play a little bit of this so that you can hear what the audio overview sounds like.
Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so you brought us some research today tackling, well, one of the really big hurdles in education.
Yeah.
It's about multilingual learners, MLs, and how they manage to learn that super dense academic language, CALP, they call it.
CLP, academic proficiency.
Right, while also trying to get their heads around complicated stuff in history or science or whatever. I mean, that sounds like a huge amount of mental juggling.
It really is. It puts this enormous strain on their cognitive resources. If the language itself is too tough, working memory just gets swamped.
So I can fast forward.
Next.
I can
Cause
also
and effect, hierarchies, comparisons, making it
add
visible.
how
This
fast they
drastically
talk.
cuts down the cognitive load.
So their brain isn't just spinning its wheels on decoding the sentences.
Right. It frees up mental bandwidth, those precious cognitive resources, so the learner can actually focus on understanding.
Okay, I'll pause that. So that's amazing. It sounds like a podcast. So in this little chip, it looks like a little chip here. I can click on the skinny snowman and I can download the MP3 of this, excuse me, of this audio overview. When I do that, it downloads it as an MP3. It says video file, but trust me, it's an MP3. I've done it before. And then you could save it. You have to save it to your desktop, and then you can upload it to your Google Drive if you want to like share it with your students in Google Classroom. But that's an amazing option. Another thing that you can do in deep research is here, let's see. So I asked it to make a what did I do? I said create flashcards. So it created this example of a flashcard. So, and then I asked it to, oh, here's the quiz. So I asked it to create a quiz because right here you could say create a quiz. So I'll open up this quiz here. And it creates an interactive quiz in here. So this isn't anything that I can download, but I can show a hint and then see how I can click on the answer. So I will choose the, oh, so it's saying I'm not quite right. And then it gives me the correct answer. And then I can go to the next question. So it's an interactive quiz, which is pretty slick. So after I do my deep research, I can quiz myself on the content. And so I'm going to exit out of that. Oops, let's open that up. And let's go back up here to the deep research example. Open. And then I could also create an infographic, flashcards, audio overview. I haven't really played with the web page, so I'm not going to click on that. So that is deep research. And the way that you do that, so if I go into a new chat, I click on the tools and I see deep research, and that lets Gemini know, okay, it's going to get ready to do some work. If you don't see deep research here, click over here, see where it says 2.5 flash. You can choose which one choose your a model that you're working with. So if you are doing more math and coding, I would suggest switching it to that 2.5 Pro. And then notice 2.5 Pro, I don't see the deep research, but if I go back to 2.5 Flash, now I see the deep research. So just in case you don't see it, click over there and then you will see it. All right, so that's deep research. Here, we did that. Here are some prompts and some examples for deep research. Now let's talk about guided learning. This is relatively new, and guided learning encourages when you're prompting, it doesn't give you the answer. It walks you through how to break down that problem step by step and help you build the knowledge that you need. So in this presentation, I have the link so that you can actually share this link with your students and it will put them into guided learning. Now, granted, they could click on something else, but it puts them in that and it sets that up. So let's go back and let's see what that looks like. Here's a breakdown of how to do it. You're going to select guided learning. You're going to enter your prompt. And then instead of giving you a quick answer, Gemini starts explaining the concept. So I did one yesterday. So guided learning. So my prompt was help me with this homework problem. And then I gave it a homework problem. And here's the response. And it walks me through. And then instead of just giving me the answer, it's saying to find the additional height we need to relate KE, PE, mass, and height. Do you remember the formula for calculating? And I'm like, no, I don't. Sorry. And it says, no worries at all. That's what we're here for. And then it gives me the formula. And then now using these values, it doesn't just give me the answer. How would you set up the equation to solve? And then I could go back and forth with Gemini. It's like my own personal tutor for those students that want, so those students that maybe don't have the support at home when they're working on homework, this would be a great option for them. And that is in tools and it is in guided learning. So that's guided learning. And here's an example. That's the one that I put in my example. And then here are some examples of how you could use guided learning. So like this one, I love this. I'm passionate about photography and want to learn more. So you could upload some of your favorite photos and ask Gemini to analyze those photos for you in that learning mode. Now, I did promise some fun things, so I'm sure that you are waiting for this. And this is the image creation that Google has. It is just amazing. So it used to be with image creation, you could kind of tell with like if you look at the fingers, like they with the image that would be created, like they'd have like 6 fingers, or maybe there would throw an extra arm on the person or something like that. Now the image creation is getting so good, it's almost scary. So let me show you some examples, and then you could try some of these also. And I'd love to see what you're creating. So here are some image prompts. So let me go to the top here. So here are some that you could do. So I uploaded a picture of my cat. Remember how you do that? You just click that plus, and then I found a picture on my phone. I emailed it to myself and I downloaded it to my desktop. And then I uploaded the file. So here's my cat. And I asked it to put my cat into a 16-bit, like the old-fashioned, like a Mario video game. So here is that transformation for my cat. And the prompt is not crazy long, but the more details I would give it, it would reflect in the image it creates. So I did a pretty basic prompt there, but that's pretty amazing. But I want you to notice, I want you to focus down here. You've got that Gemini diamond icon. So Google will do that on the images that it creates. So it's kind of their watermark to know that this was a AI generated image. The next one, I uploaded a picture of me as an adult, and then I said, create a photo of me as an adult sitting with myself as a child in a playroom having a tea party together. So that is pretty specific. And so here is the image of me sitting with my younger self. So that might be a little creepy. But once again, I know this is an AI generated image because it's got the little icon there. And then I did another one where I wanted my dress here made out of pickleballs. And there is my pickleball dress. So it's kind of fun. And then I just took a picture of a random scissors and I said, turn these scissors into a realistic looking fantasy character in a movie about elves and fairies. So then it created this image, the scissor fairy. And once again, we see that icon, so you know it's not from a real movie. So there, there's some fun you can have with the image, and they called it Nana Banana. So that's why it has that image. That's why it has the banana icon. Google always names their stuff pretty interesting names here. So if you wanted to play around with this, you just make sure that you click that create image so it knows what you want to do. So here I uploaded a picture of my cat. I just went to upload files. I found a picture on my desktop. And then I said, take this picture of my cat and turn it into a cartoon sticker. So let's see how that does. Let's see it live and just how long it takes. I'm not going to edit this out, so you can actually see how long it takes. Nice. So there is my cat transformed into a fun sticker. I love that. And then I could click download and add that to my desktop. So the image generation is pretty creative. The last page of this presentation that I will be sharing with everyone is it has some resources here. So if you click on this right here, or nope, if you click right here, this document has a bunch of trainings and certifications, and it's 2 pages. So if you would like to, if you can't wait till we meet again, that's fine. You can dig in here and start playing around. The next session that I'll have, the 30-minute AI in 30 minutes, will be about prompting. And then we're gonna, I'll be talking about the Google Gemini in Google Classroom, which that is really amazing. I don't know if I can do that in 30 minutes. I may have to break that up into 2 because there's so much right now. So thank you guys for coming. If you have any questions, you can throw them in the chat. I'm going to turn off the recording in case you have any questions and you just don't want to be in the recording.